10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome once again to the Dreamteam podcast. We've just put round 4 in the can with some fantastic results all round and a bit of a rough week for a few Dreamteam coaches with Chrissy Sandow's -4. I'm Jay Moneyball Hellaby and I'm here with Nathan Banksy Banks. Just the two of us this week. We couldn't find anyone who had 3 spare hours to sit with us during the show. Banksy, welcome back. Always a pleasure to have you here, mate.
Thank you very much, Jay. It was a very up and down week. I was always thinking I was having a bad week, and then I realised, oh shit, I actually scored quite well compared to everybody else. I just took on guys in my leagues which were scoring really, really well.
Well, fair enough. And look, I must admit, I was having a really good week. I know at one point there I had about 9 players left to play, and I was sitting in the 480 mark or something like that. So I was thinking to myself, you know, I'm an absolute shoe-in here. And then my wing fullback position and centres decided to phone it in, and I managed to pull up with an ever-consistent 752, expecting the worst, and logged on this morning to find for the first time in my Dream Team career, I'm in the top 1,000 overall, positioned at 907. So I'm pretty stoked. Pretty stoked because obviously everyone else had a terrible week too.
Yeah, I've pulled my rank up to 473, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah,
hoping to hold that over the next few weeks.
Yep, I reckon you can, mate. And look, one of the topics we will discuss in our special featurette, which will be as a separate file today, will of course be consistency. And in that same little featurette, we'll talk about the dealing with trade rage, as I know many people are sensing and feeling today, Tuesday. And I think Chris Sandow and Kurt Gidley have got to be the top heads on the chopping block after a weekend that I think Dream Team coaches wish they'd never heard the names Gidley and Sandow.
That is correct. A -4 and a 14 is not what you want from guys. You're paying 234k in Gidley and over 300k now, Sandow.
Oh, absolutely. But with Gidley, the thing is, you know, what was his injury the week before? I don't know. I think it's got to be a cartilage, whatever part of his bone he busted. But the other thing, and then this week it's a concussion, so it doesn't matter where Gidley's playing or where he's tackling or how he's being hit. He just seems so brittle. Did his parents not give him any milk in the mornings with his cereal or something?
Well, the amount of injuries he's had over the last 4 or 5 years, you got to think he's got something wrong. He should hang it up.
Mate, I'm with you on that one. I've made such a comment on mentors today, but I'll tell you what, there is a sport that Gidley should retire from league and start training for this new sport now. You know what it is?
No idea, sorry.
Walking frame races at the old folks' home. He's got the walking frame to take all his weight. He's not going to blow out an Achilles or a cartilage or anything like that, mate. And I reckon if we can get him in there at about 45 years of age, he's going to be a shoo-in.
It's Kurt Gidley. He's still going to injure himself with a walking frame, dude. He'll find a way. He'll trip up on it and break his leg.
I think you're probably right. Maybe we should convince him he should just be racing rascals or something like that.
He should be sitting down behind a computer playing Dream Team like the rest of us.
He'd be the last man standing to pick Kurt Gidley, I'll tell you that, especially after the way it's been going. But, mate, let's have a look at the recap for the round. The Bulldogs, unlucky to go down in a very close match and a very traditional, grinding, high-quality match of football against the Rabbitohs. Some fantastic scores coming out of there. George Burgess picking up an absolute mammoth 56. Mate, what were your takeaways from that game?
That was a really strong game. It was by the Bunnies.
Dogs and Rabbitohs.
They are top. Yeah, I said Bunnies. I'm still stuck in week before. I said Bunnies. They were still strong. They were what I saw of the game. And that Inu tackle, just want to mention it. 5 weeks, probably just. I don't see anything wrong with 5 weeks. Could have been 6, but he's probably got like 80 hangover points left over. So next infringement, he's gone for a week regardless, probably.
And look, looking at that tackle, both in real time on the replays. I mean, I was listening to that game on the radio, but watching the replay a little bit later on, you know, looking at that Inu tackle, 5 weeks, I think he's lucky to get off with 5 weeks. I think they could have slapped him with 7+. You know, but taking that early guilty plea. I'm really glad to see that they're not going to fight it. They're not going to challenge the grading. They're going to cop it sweet, knowing they're in the wrong, and not do a Richie Fayoso, which I think is well and truly, exactly what should happen there. I was clearly, as a Titans fan, disappointed by the Richie Fayoso incident, as you're probably picking up.
Well, Harrison's probably going to be gone more time than Fayoso now, isn't he?
Well, he's named. He is named this week. Harrow is named this week. So we'll just see how he goes. But we'll get into the team list a little bit later on. Sea Eagles, West Tigers. Look, Sea Eagles definitely stating their claim as a premiership force with a 26-0 thumping of West Tigers. Look, again, what can you say about Manly? And from a DT perspective, Brenton Lawrence, BJ, we love him. We've all got him. Well, we should all have him. Pumped out of 65. I mean, that's a DT coach's wet dream for me. I paid 250-odd thousand for this guy at the beginning of the season, and he's now worth 324,500 and averaging 52 points a game. His break even for those who aren't on him is 6, and he's projected to hit 48 this week. So, love him. Tom Simons starting, picked up a 44. This guy is Manly's answer to losing T-Rex, who incidentally has started the season very slow. Mate, what's your take on Simons?
Simons was good. He's a good, nice ginger from the old Roosters. He was, I think. He came over late, so hence why he started around 2. He's a really good young player they've got on their hands.
He is. He's very strong runner.
I'm not liking that.
Well, look, we always knew Bura was going to be going back to the bench at some point, and in all honesty, on Bura, I think he's maxed out in his price. If you haven't got Bura and you can if you haven't gotten rid of Bura yet and you can get rid of him this week, my personal opinion on it, and keep in mind I don't have Bura, it's time to drop Bura. He's maxed out, and it's time to jump on somebody like Simons. There's a couple of others who are coming through. But Simons, look, he's a good ball runner. He's a strong runner. He busts tackles. And he has that mongrel in him, that ferocity that says, I just don't want to lie down in a tackle. I don't want to be stopped in a tackle. So you're going to have to give it absolutely everything. So, and then that indicates in his meters. It indicates in his tackle breaks. It indicates in the fact that he's rolling over on players close to the line to stretch out and score. Very smart footballer, and I think a brilliant buy. How's this for good buying? They get rid of Tom Simons. They get rid of Tony Williams, T-Rex, and they pick up Tom Simons and Brenton Lawrence with the money they get left over in the cap.
And they have left over money too from that a bit, yeah.
Yeah. I bet there's still a bit. Well, they picked up Kane Launton as well, who we haven't seen as yet. And there's a couple other little guys coming through that they've picked up. I think Justin Horrow was the other one that they used some of that money for. But Cheekham, hats off to the scouts at Manly. They let T-Rex go, and they haven't missed a beat with their replacements. The replacements have just been phenomenal. So we'll move along now. Look, Broncos Storm game. Broncos staged a late comeback. There's not too many sort of real big surprises there. Jordan Carr, who played a fantastic game, he is named on an extended bench this week. Hodges is named to come back. Dragons up over a very lackluster Sharks. My goodness, didn't they look completely and utterly different to the Sharks side that we've seen over the last few weeks?
It was quite disappointing for me to watch that game. I was just sort of going through the emotions by the end of it, just like, please be over, please be over. And it reminded me of watching the Sharks 2 years ago, where you knew they weren't going to win, but just going to keep fighting and grinding and go, please let it end.
But, something that is important there to keep in mind and pat yourself on the back or to be proud of your team is, they're going to keep fighting. They're not going to win, but they're going to keep fighting. And that's something that a lot of teams lack. It's one of the reasons I'm a Titans supporter because, even the year we won the wooden spoon or got the wooden spoon, I suppose you don't really win the wooden spoon because you don't win much, but, the last game was against the Parramatta Eels, and it was a game for the wooden spoon, and the Eels did give us a bit of a pumping, but the boys never gave up. They scored the last 3 tries of that game, including one on the siren. So, they kept going till the end of the 80 minutes, and that's what I want in a football team. If I'm going to back them, is that heart and that fight. So, The Sharks will come back from this loss against the Dragons. I pity the side they're up against this week, which happens to be the Eels, and they're a side well deserving of pity. But we'll get onto that a little bit later on, I think. Panthers Titans. Look, Titans threatened to run away with this 28-10. Listened to this one on the radio as I was up the sunny coast at my sister's wedding. Congratulations to my sister, and I've got to say to her now husband Mitch, what the hell were you thinking? I tried to convince you not to, but he just wouldn't listen. But no, in all goodness, they're a perfect couple. Knights up over the Raiders. That one could have gone either way, at least after the first 40 minutes, but the Knights just ran away with it in the end. A couple of dubious calls. The two refs from that game have been stood down, Banksy, for missing a couple of calls.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but it's good to see that Daniel Anderson stepping in and saying, you have to perform, otherwise you're going to get stood down, which is good to see.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to put more pressure on them, and I wonder if, they're going to be more hesitant to let stuff go. We have had a fair bit of free-flowing football. Interesting things out of that Knights game. Anthony Quinn picked up, I think he picked up 40 or 38 or something like that, Dream Team points. Sean Fensom, 72 Dream Team points, is that correct? 74. 74, huge. Josh Parley scored a try. He picked up 60-odd or thereabouts. So, the Raiders are starting to come good as far as Dream Team points go. The Knights certainly spread the work around. Kurt Gidley went off after about 30-something minutes with a concussion. Didn't return for the match. James McManus was off as well. Kurt Gidley fitted into centres apparently for McManus during that match. But both Gidley and McManus named this week. It's one I would strongly recommend watching the team list for before the match, just in that little half-hour window, particularly if you're going to run with Gidley. Moving on, the Warriors get their first win of the season. Their first win in 12 games, too, and popped their cherry for 2013 with a 20-18 win over the Cowboys. What do you make of that one, Banksy?
They played good. They played well. There was some only Warriors stuff that happened in that game. Johnson's 40-20, great kick and a great bounce, got really lucky. Their last try, which kept bouncing around, or was it the last try? Well, there was a play that kept bouncing around between the two teams. And it's just like, what the hell's going on here? If it was any other game, there'd be a knock on in there.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that was a little bit odd, that one. And Johnson scoring 70-plus Dream Team points there. He's really sort of coming into his own. But the Warriors, they looked a different side. We've been bagging them out for 4 weeks, and they actually looked like a football side for the first time in 12 games.
They have been strong. They looked strong. They looked way better, which is good to see. Hopefully they can keep going that way. Yeah,
I'm in agreement with you there. I think a healthy Warriors side is great for league and great for DT because it does give you some good scoring options. Nathan Friend back for the Warriors as well, which certainly helps to boost their stocks.
That was the key, I think. That was the key.
He did provide that sort of settling influence and that strong influence there, from Rake, and I think that it's definitely important. He's a key part in that side, as he was at the Titans as well before he left. And interestingly too, Warriors team list has come in, and Nathan Friend has been named at starting hooker. So good news for the Warriors against the Rabbitohs. They're going to need all the help they can get there with the red hot form that the Rabbitohs are in.
Injuries ain't helping either.
Yeah, well, the Warriors, if you looked last week before the game, the Warriors had the longest injury list of any side in the comp.
And it's got longer.
And it has gotten longer. Speaking of which, by the way, Conrad Hirrell, starting to show some of that form that we loved last year from him. Bounced over for a try and just, he got a bit of a wind-up on that try, which was good. And, geez, he picks up speed quick, doesn't he?
Oh, he's a quick acceleration. He does. When he's playing good, I love watching him. He's almost impossible to tackle. Yeah. But he just needs to get in close to the fringe a little bit more and play off those forwards, play off Mateo, get those offloads going to him, popping it back and getting locked from behind, shooting forward.
Absolutely, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you there. He sort of seems to have been too far out on the edges and just uninterested in getting involved in the first 3 rounds, and finally decided he was going to get involved. And we saw a semi-decent score from him, and the Warriors won, lo and behold. Now, not saying the two are mutually exclusive, that if Harry's playing good, that the Warriors are going to win, but it's certainly going to be a contributing factor.
Definitely will be.
And just on that note, the Warriors have announced an extended bench with Fisiahi, Vadavai, and Ikahethio. and I know I've just massacred that name, but anyway, they're named on an extended bench. Hirrell is named in starting, but after scoring that try, he was limping a little bit, so keep an eye on those team lists. Friend named, Mateo starting, which I know is going to please Butters knowing because he is a Mateo lover, and I don't know, I think he's much gamer than me when it comes to that. I think I'll be staying off Mateo this year.
Same here.
All right, moving on to the last game of the round. Do we want to take the good or the bad or the downright ugly with this one to start with, Banksy?
Take the good.
Let's take the good. How good were those Roosters? I mean, just absolutely phenomenal across the park. Sonny Bill Williams pumping out a 55. James Maloney pumping out a 54. Sonny Bill Williams was 59. Maloney 54. And raise your hand if you had Daniel Tupou as your MPR. This host has got his hand raised well and truly high. I had Vai Tautai in my wing fullback position and missed out on 50 points. But, I mean, how good was that Warriors side? Jennings pumping out scores as well. Sorry, not Warriors, Roosters. They just, didn't they just pump them?
They did. They just destroyed them. And it's great to see basically every single back got over 50 points.
Yeah.
Reading a couple of forwards getting over 50 points as well.
Yeah. It's, wow. I mean, it was comprehensive. And the scoreline does show it as comprehensive. I mean, look, the last 10 minutes, I think the Roosters put on about 20 points. You know, full credit to the Eels. There was not a lack of effort. You know, they tried their hearts out. They tackled their hearts out. And, you know, that shows, I think Ben Smith made 45 tackles and things like that. And their execution is just what's lacking. You know, their cohesion as a team is what's lacking. And I think that'll come over the course of the season. Ricky Stewart said it was always going to be a tough job. And they came up against a Roosters side that is just in red hot form, you know, and the Roosters put them to the sword. And it's the first time we've seen the Roosters attacking weapons, their big name attacking weapons, like Jennings, Sean Kenny-Dowell, Sonny Bill Williams, and you know, Daniel Tupou and Roger Vasashek. You know, he pumped out a treble, a hat-trick of tries as well. That's the one. I'm always going to get the name wrong. But, you know, they just pumped it out. And look, from a dream team perspective, that Roosters backline, if you don't have some players from it, then it's probably time to start looking at them because they're going to be a force. And their forwards, Jared Waria-Hargraves pumped out a 60-odd, I think it was, as well as scoring a try in there.
56.
56, there you go. And he's looking more motivated. Cordner's had a couple of rubbish games, but he pumped out a decent score. He scored a try in there as well. 64. So, you know, this is a Roosters team that in the last 2 weeks has really started to gel, and they could be a huge force, DT and in the Telstra Premiership.
I think they'll be a real force in the Premiership for sure. I think top 8 for sure, maybe pushing top 8 if they can keep gunning like this all season.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you there, and look, I'm actually looking forward to the Titans-Roosters game because they're going to be coming into that game with a full head of steam, and I reckon it'll be a really good test for my boys to see exactly where they're at. So what we'll do now, just a quick recap of those changes to the team list. Ashton Sims still out for the Cowboys. Tarek Sims is in there. Rory Kostjason on the bench. He played very, very well, I thought, but not sure how he went Dream Team-wise. Having a quick look at Dragons side, Jack Stockwell named for the Dragons at 10. They've got an extended bench with Jack DeBellin and Michael Henderson named as the 18th, 19th man. Knights, Tamana Tahu named as 18th man. You've got Gidley named at 9. Tyrone Roberts at 7. Moving on, Rabbitohs. Look, Rabbitohs are as what their starting side ended up being last week. Actually, no, sorry, some changes. David Tyrrell at 8, Roy Asatasi at 10, Sam Burgess at the 13. So that could mean some big minutes for Sam. George Burgess rounds out the 17. They've got an extended bench with Michael Crocker named 18th man, Justin Hutt 19, Jason Clark at 20. That'll be hurting those who are Michael Crocker owners. Raiders, 18th man is Anthony Milford. Jack Whiten and Blake Ferguson are suspected, or Blake Ferguson's out for 3 months is the word I heard from my mate Banksy. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. I think Whiten's also out too. Not sure for how long.
With that wrist injury, so keep an eye on the team list there. Anthony Milford named 18th man. Not quite sure who is going to come in for Jack Whiten, but could be a nice little cash cow depending on how.
I think it's Milford.
It is Milford. Storm team is in, and look, not any changes there. You've got Kevin Proctor named at the 17, which means Tohu Harris stays at the 11. Slade Griffin, 18th man. Junior Moore's 19. So that's all the team lists that are in. We are waiting on Bulldogs, Sharks, and Roosters, West Tigers at time of recording. So unfortunately, we can't comment on those for you. We hope your week has been. Sorry, go on, Banksy.
Would like to say Carney's out for 2 weeks for the Sharks, and I would expect Chad Townsend to step in for those 2 weeks like he did over Origin last year. Absolutely,
and you know, Chad Townsend, you'll be coming in for what's expected to be 2 weeks, so you'll just miss out on the price rise. We were having a chat about this, Banksy, and you said over Origin you expect he will step in if Todd Carney gets picked for Origin, but James Maloney's really putting his hand up for that Origin jersey for New South Wales as well.
Yeah, he is. Also, I've just seen Lone Scout just post that Ray Finesta is playing halfback instead of middle this week at the Tigers.
Okay, fair enough. And on the note of halfbacks, Luke Walsh dropped from the Panthers, not injured. Blake Austin to take his place in that particular team list. Great news for Tom Humble owners. You would expect him to sort of take the role of the dominant half there, though Blake Austin is by no means a slouch in that halfback position.
No, he's not. He's a really good young player that Austin, I've always had my eye on him ever since he tore apart the Cronulla Sharks about 2 years ago in the under-20s.
Yeah, look, and Gus Gould has always had huge raps on the kid, and loved him. But you know, with Gus Gould, he's very much the kind of guy who's a tough love coach, and he flat out said, "Look, Osto, you're not up to patch yet." So dropping of Walsh and bringing in Austin must have done some very, very good things playing New South Wales Cup.
He did. He looked impressive. What I saw on the under-20s New South Wales Cup game on Sky yesterday.
Absolutely. And look, in our featurette today, which will be the separate file, we will be discussing Blake Austin and Tom Humble in the halves there for the Panthers, what you should be doing in regards to Tom Humble. We'll throw a little bit on the Blake Austin question as well. And what else are we going to be looking at there, Banksy?
We'll be definitely looking at Chris Sando and Kurt Gidley, and a few other things which might pop up during the discussion we will have following.
Excellent. And of course, I'll be having a chat about how to deal with trade rage and what the importance that consistency is going to play in this Dream Team season. Now that we've completed round 4 and we've got a reasonably good idea of what's happening and what's going to go down. Banksy, before we close this off, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, there's not. So good luck, everybody.
Yeah, well, we hope you had a less than terrible DT week, or if yours was a terrible DT week, that it was at least better than those around you, so you moved up in the rankings. We hope to have you on board with us for the featurette in the next file of this particular podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope the shortened version of the show has been a little bit easier to swallow. We know the 3-hour marathons we've been pumping out recently probably are a little bit too long. So good luck for this week if we don't talk to you or don't have you on board beforehand. And may your trades be wise